Hi everyone, it's Haley and thank you so much for joining me today for more plant care and plant tips. Today we're going to be talking about paper whites. If you are unfamiliar with paper whites, this is what it is. Paper whites are a bulb and they can be perfect for you to plant now in time for Thanksgiving, and right after then you can plant them again so that they'll be blooming for Christmas. They don't look like much right now, but once they are in bloom, they are beautiful white fragrant flowers that are a perfect centerpiece for your holiday dinners or a great addition to your winter garden. So the most obvious way to grow them would of course be in soil. If you are going to choose to grow them in containers, make sure that you're doing so in full sun and in a well-draining soil. It can be really easy to rot out bulbs, so make sure you're being thoughtful with your watering routine. Same goes for if you're planting them in the ground, and no matter where you plant them, you want to make sure that they're looking like this. So you've got the top part just a little bit above the soil, maybe just the top inch. The rest should be covered. And a good way to tell the top from the bottom is obviously this. You can see our roots, and then up here there's already a little bit of growth peeking through. If you want to grow them in containers, I'd recommend grouping a bunch of them really close together, which doesn't sound normal, but they can tend to be top heavy, and grouping them close together will help them support each other naturally and avoid them toppling over or just kind of looking droopy. My favorite way to grow paper whites is actually a process called forcing them, and so to do that you just need a clear jar. There are bulb vases that are specific for this process, and your main objective is pretty much the same as it is in the soil. You want to have the top exposed and the bottom half not submerged in water, but just touching enough that those roots can slowly reach down and absorb the moisture. I mentioned wanting to be really careful with your watering so that you don't rot the bulbs out, and the same applies even though it sounds contradictory because we're using water to force them. You don't want the whole thing submerged or just soaking in water, and so what we're going to use to avoid that from happening is rocks. You can choose a rock that is festive or matches your decor, which can be fun as well. You can use marbles, pebbles, anything that's going to help lift the bulb from being directly in the water, but will still allow enough room for those roots to get down. So if this were my little setup at home, I would fill the water up to about here. You do want to make sure that you're either adding fresh water or changing out the water daily so that it's not stagnant or smelling gross. You don't want anything nasty happening. They should bloom in about a month's time, which is why now is a great time to start them either outdoors or using this method to get them blooming in time for Thanksgiving. They do have a very strong fragrance. It might be appealing to some and not so much to others, so just something to be thoughtful of. They are a very fragrant addition to your space. One final important thing to note is to make sure that you're growing them in bright light. I mentioned if you're planting them outdoors that they should be in full sun, and so you want to choose the brightest location that you have indoors, or just keep them somewhere bright temporarily and move them over to your dinner table when that time comes. So one of the best things about bulbs is that you can use them season after season. If you did use the forcing method, unfortunately they will not be reusable for the next season, but if you've planted them outside and let them grow in their own time, you can of course save them and use them again next year. I hope that you found this video helpful. Make sure that you do stop in to pick up your paper whites. They go very fast, and you want to make sure that you have them in time to bloom for both Thanksgiving or any holiday that you're celebrating in the next couple of months. And as always, thank you so much for watching.